1-1 here between Panda Global and Team Naventic as we go on to game number 3 for on Cursed Hollow, I should say, here between the two teams. And Panda Global in that first game, a righteous Stomperino is, oh, I really memed, that was bad, I didn't even mean to do that. And then, of course, with Team Naventic being able to kind of push themselves on forwards here as the favorites that they are. Going on to Cursed Hollow, ladies and gentlemen, here, what are we expecting? Are we expecting Team Naventic now to have woken up, been revitalized from our past game? Are they still now pushing themselves forwards here, maybe to the 2-1?
I think a little bit that will be the case. But at the same time, map pick was going to be going towards Panda Global,
Right.
and I feel like they were pretty convincing going on their own map pick before. So at the same time, I feel like they definitely have that going in favor for them. And I just said again, like the Tyrande is accented better on this map than some of the rest, which seem to be the bread and butter of this tournament. So
are there any other particular kind of like long-range interrupters? Obviously, Tassadar is something that's quite common here.
Yeah.
Be it the Oracle choice, to be able to mental acuity, I should say, at level 4 to actually know what's going on. Storm is actually quite a good interrupter. What are the other kind of tools that you've got available to you to deal with interrupting curse pickups?
Well, you have Vala, who's always got multiple long-range interrupts. She's been, very middle of the road right now. But if we get too late enough and the bands go circle, you do have the control.
I think Kel'Thas is a huge one, not only for his relevance, but his range is very easy to delay for a large period of time. So
It is very possible that Kel'Thas makes it through this draft if there's an early Abathur ban.
yeah, that is true.
I believe Illidan will get prioritized in that over.
Well, fellas, we can take, once again, a little bit of a look at and recap as to how this map veto has gone down between these two teams to get you up to speed here. And, of course, it was Battlefield of Eternity and Guard of Terror banned out. Sky Temple went to Panda Global, and Infernal Shrines went to Team Naventic. Now we move on to Cursed Hollow, a map that, for the longest time, I would say had Infernal Shrines spot. It seemed to be like the most common map here. So we're going to take a look at Cursed Hollow, and in the map roulette, we're going to Gillyweed.
All right, Cursed Hollow, another 3-lane battleground, and the objective here is to capture the tributes. If you can get 3 of the tributes, the Raven Lord will curse your opponents. This means that the minions have 1 health and their structures do not fire, and it's quite a long time. So it's a great time for you to be able to siege down their structures. Importantly for this battleground, there are a lot of mercenary camps at 6 with 2 bosses, and the bosses often are the ways that you actually win the game on Cursed Hollow.
That's true, and you see even picks going towards that, something like Tyrael for like Holy Ground, for example, later on down the line.
Falstad.
Falstad as well, yeah, Falstad.
Sundering, there's a lot of great zoning and control heroics that we see often on this map.
Yep.
For sure, and for again, as I said, for the longest time, it was one of the more popular maps. It's still there. It's fallen a little bit by the wayside, but for sure, it does have its place here still.
I love this map. It's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm most interested when it comes to the draft specifically on this map is that we're going to see is Naventic is going to be first pick. And so they have a little bit of a control because Illidan, not only is it something that they love, but he also kind of thrives. And Panda Global has shown that they aren't afraid to play the Illidan, but they don't prioritize it very highly. So if Illidan does make it through, is it going to be first pick on the side of Naventic and they're not even going to risk Panda Global being able to adapt their draft according to this matchup? Or are they going to say, guess what, we'll pick something that kind of synergizes a little bit better because we don't expect you to take it. Like they take the Li Ming, risk the next 2 picks, and then end up taking the Illidan later.
Yeah, they have shown that they're willing to first pick it if they think that that's a concern.
I think rightly so, with the amount of influence that he has. I'm actually surprised other teams don't value him as highly as kind of Naventic does.
Rejog my memory whilst we had the quickfire draft for game number 2. Did they ban out Illidan? Do you recall?
Illidan was a ban, yes.
Okay, so that's been a kind of common theme here across the last 2 maps.
Illidan kill thoughts, every time.
Right, okay.
Which is to be expected. Those 2 are by far the best heroes in the game right now, the competitive level at least.
I think I appreciate NA's gusto for going over towards those Kel'Thas bans because in Europe, that didn't happen until the end.
It's almost like an analyst was there to be like, I don't know, predict the adaptation of Kel'Thas through the whole thing.
An analyst?
I guess.
Really? Okay.
Well,
okay.
Rag, dude. This desk is savage.
I know, I've got to do what I got to do. I can't help it. We'll be getting on to the draft in just a little bit here for Cursed Hollow, of course. But at the moment, we do see Mr. Big E, the most recent addition to Naventic. Has he stood out to you during any of these games so far in terms of his plays?
Nothing too crazy. Nothing that you would expect out of an actual playmaker. I would not, put him in that game. He's just, always been safe and consistent, which is what this team kind of needs when you already have multiple playmakers in Zuna and McIntyre.
What amazes me more for Naventic is that they brought him in, and the synergy was pretty immediate.
Yeah.
For them to bring him in, and it's not like you're bringing in somebody who plays the same role. It required a role and a roster swap to make it to where they are, and yet they are playing so synergied, so well, like they've been playing as a team together for much longer than they actually have.
The best players in the world are going to be people that can do this. Look at over at Europe right now. JPL going through a role swap, has been through multiple role swaps there. Considered one of the best players in Europe for a reason. Zuna doing the same thing now.
Yeah, and I mean, Dignitas, knowing them very, very well, are extremely confident in his ability to make that kind of role swap.
You should be.
Yeah, so he's able to do those things very, very clearly. Just whilst we're actually getting into the draft, a bit more of an overarching question is, I'm very excited to see that this has already gone to 1-1, because it does show that the American scene is flourishing more so than I ever gave it credit for before. When, especially as Europeans, when we looked in, we saw, again, just top 2, just dominating everybody and then pushing on down. But to see this already begin in this tournament, I think is very, very exciting for your scene and the competitive nature
It's
of it.
cool, because going into this event, everyone was basically saying, we don't actually know what the top 4 can be. We don't actually know who's going to be in the finals. But most people were saying it was because of poor play, that NA is kind of in a shaky spot right now. But after watching these 2 games, I wouldn't say that's the case. This has been, better than expected.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of teams, as many as I could, before coming up here. And the resounding theme of this event was, for the first time, it's anyone's game. It could legitimately be anybody here. And yeah, everybody is very confident that they'll be the one to qualify for the Summer Global Championships.
All right, so we can get into draft number 3 here between Panda Global and Team Naventic. And we will be on Cursed Hollow as mentioned before. So looking out for those first picks and first bans, and it will be ETC disappearing on the side of Team Naventic. And then Panda Global, will they go to the Illidan once again is the question.
I actually would leave it up. I think it puts in a position to where they have the opportunity to take the kill Thos. If you're worried about the Abathur, ban that out. Let them choose what they want, but you need to be able to prepare. Actually, I'd ban Test. I would ban Tassadar, because then you can't pick Tassadar into Illidan and be very successful. And so you don't want to pick that. They're going to pick Illidan. You take the kill Thos, take somebody who's good CC. Sonya can eat Illidans alive, and then leave it to where there is no Tassadar response.
Yeah, she's one of the only ones at the moment
she's
that can
one
really
of the few.
do it.
Yeah.
Throughout multiple metas, we have seen situations where there's always usually 2 heroes who are at the tip top.
Yeah.
And whenever one of them doesn't get banned,
you let them both go through.
So you're guaranteeing yourself one of them. So I agree with Dread 100% on the Tassadar ban. It works both sides, because Illidan has always been a hard.
Please don't do this. This is terrifying, just because Muradin's the best tank against. So there's no tanks that are going to be left that are good against Illidan except for Dahaka, and even then I wouldn't say that it's necessarily great. So that ban is very risky on the side of Panda Global if they go through with it.
Surely doesn't this already put, if they do this, doesn't this put us in a very interesting spot for in terms of warriors as a whole?
Dahaka's,
Yeah, because then the 2, it's like playing chicken, right?
Exactly.
It's like seeing Rhaegar and banning it. Oh, okay. Li Ming.
That's interesting.
They are opting out of it. Yeah, there it is. Maybe a little bit of a misclick. Please lock it in. There it is. So now, all right, Illidan's going to be there. I think Kel'Thas is going to be a must-have, but I really do not want to see them take the Tassadar. They're hovering the Muradin. No surprise, again, I was talking about how he's legitimately the best tank against Illidan. No surprise there for Panda Global.
And it's agreed across most of the pros that Kel'Thas is actually one of the counters to Illidan, one of the best heroes to have. So there it is, Kel'Thas, Muradin, perfect. Now, but the only issue right now is Panda Global just gave Naventic Tassadar.
And now, look at that is why I feel like that ban should have been different. I don't think so. I think they'll wait. I don't think they should all in that heavily. There it is. I love it. Naventic has an absurdly terrifying draft so far.
That is the classic trio.
The dream team.
The dream team,
Almost
literally.
every single time we saw this composition in Gold League, win. I think it's like
scary stuff.
They'll probably add Tyrael, right? Tyrael to it?
Yeah, that is an option that they can go into.
He's one of the few warriors in NA that can play Tyrael well.
And plus, Holy Ground, Kalaris, you mentioned it. Holy Ground for the bosses.
It's perfect control. Like, not only Holy Ground, but even Force Wall on this map, I feel has more power. So getting rid of Tyrael, beautiful stuff, but they're still, I would say, would you agree, behind in the draft?
Damage control. I don't,
exactly.
It's like, congratulations, you were heads up, you understood that it was going to be able to accent the Illidan very well, but do I feel like you've suddenly made the comeback? Not going to be the case here. Naventic, they have a lot of options. Sonya ban is what I think is going to be coming out. Again, because it's one of the few heroes that can eat Illidan alive, so Naventic most likely going to be posturing with that, but Naventic, I really would have liked to see the first ban not be a Li Ming and instead a Task, because they have just everything. There it is, Sonya going to come out.
It's perfect banning coming out from that position as well. What are you expecting from Panda Global? They are behind in this draft,
expecting a
you're saying,
global.
between us.
It can be anyone between Dahaka, Brightwing, or Falstad. They love globals on this mat. And, you know, Falstad's great at controlling
It'll be
the points.
Brightwing if
What
they
if
do
it-
it.
Do you think it'll be Brightwing?
Yeah.
They've done like crazy Brightwing. Okay,
Well, there's the
Toronto, I
Toronto,
see
yeah.
it not, but they've done like crazy Brightwing, Uther, Brightwing something in the past. So I wondered if they were going to do something like that. We've even seen some Lili. Killeris, have you been apprised of this situation that's happening in North America?
I've seen that in qualifiers. I've studied you guys. Oh, Dahaka for global. That's interesting. To be fair, if he hits a drag on Illidan,
He's dead.
He's actually dead.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's difficult to hit.
Well, they have lots of different ways to start that off, though, too. If they get Uther, they started off with the Hammer of Justice, a Storm Bolt, a Gravity Labs. Catch him once, and he's gone.
Yeah, just an absurd amount of CC coming out from Panda Global. And not surprising there, and actually I would like to see them go Sylvanas over. I think that's actually going to be really heads up for them.
Before 10, does this give Panda Global the opportunity with this composition to have a little bit more control over soaking and then onto curse control?
Yeah, and also it provides an absurdly powerful tri-lane, which typically Illidan's doesn't thrive in like the early laning phase and everything of the like, so it gives them an option here. If they pick Abathur as an accent to this comp and makes that even worse into Sylvanas, I want to see Naventic avoid Abathur. I don't think that's going to be healthy if they go there.
Right.
Yeah, but when you already have the Illidan and the Tassadar, you're lacking the damage. It's only Illidan that's going to be killing things in the fight. With Abathur, it's literally your composition is around the only Illidan.
And you lose, you're going to lose so many front walls against Sylph, right? Like Abathur struggles in the early game, so does Illidan a little bit. It just gets worse and worse and worse. They take Johanna, not surprising with the tank chokehold being so heavily here, but where are they going to round it out? Is it going to be like a Falstad? Is it going to be another ranged hero? I actually, off the top of my head, can't find anything I find too convincing. Vala, it would be all right.
I don't know if I would like Falstad here. I mean, you get the counter to the global, but it's just so little damage. You have to win the fight through, you know, outlasting, and Kael'thas does a lot of damage.
Maybe this is why the Li Ming. Maybe they thought, okay, they're going to go for Illidan. The Tassadar is still a concern for him, sure, but they limit it for later on, knowing that they'll probably focus on these things earlier to make sure the Illidan's set.
It is possible that they thought that way. But I don't think we'll know until we see this final pick.
Yeah, still think they might go all in on something like that, but it would be crazy. I mean, there's so much.
Any
focus
chance of the
onto it.
Thrall here, Dread?
I think it's an option, but I don't think it's what they go for. It is a response that they typically kind of take into a Kael'thas, but I don't think they'll run it because it's just like a 4 melees and a Tassadar walking around doesn't sound too appealing into Kael'thas Dahaka.
I mean, regardless of a few spanners in the works of Dahaka, Sylvanas, some of the stuns on there, do you think Team Naventic is very confident with this lineup that they've got here? It seems like a very comfortable position for them.
Yeah, with the first 3 picks, they're going to be comfortable no matter what's around it. It's just, do they come up on top here? They're struggling with wave clear. If Sylvanas gets good push, they don't have the best clear for that. They have only Greymane that can really just get the waves cleared up.
And Johanna can stun him out, buy some time. But yeah, I like if this was the plan for Panda Global, if they were like, this is the best we can do to mitigate it. We've got the Kael'thas, we have Muradin, we sack this, we get to Hawk, we control the tanks. I don't know.
Divine Storm. I want it.
Yes, against Illidan.
Against Greymane.
And
against
Greymane.
Every melee that exists on their team. It's legitimately just melees everywhere.
It's actually
Divine
not a bad
Storm will
choice.
gain an absurd amount of value, and it's the only CC you can rely Illidan getting hit by because you know he's going to be diving the backline. You get the Shrink Ray, Benediction, double stun. If one stun hits, Illidan will die.
There's a lot of CC. Muradin, Tyrande, Dahaka.
But you need the one that will set it up, and Uther's Divine Storm and his stun is the only one I think you can rely on.
Now
so
that
I
you
like that
mention
pick.
it, I think I agree. I mean, Divine Shield is denying the damage going down on someone, but it's not going to keep them.
It's only the Greymane.
You need to deny members of their team constantly pushing you down. Which
they have the double support. We already saw the double support like outlast. The only real kill potential out of nowhere is Greymane. They don't need the Divine Shield. They have the Tyrande and the Uther to keep everyone alive. And after game 1, I really like Panda's draft right now a lot.
I do.
Yeah, once you get hit by one stun, you're going to get hit by them all.
Yeah, I can say that if these names weren't behind these drafts and you told me Divine Storm was picked, I would actually pick Global, or Panda Global. But I know Naventic's behind it, and it's Illidan, and he's terrifying, and you make one mistake, and he is the easiest hero to punish your opponent when that minor mistake happens.
So of course we looked at the draft and we said Naventic had a very, very good start. But, and there were difficulties for Panda Global to catch up. Do we think they catched up consistently there in that draft? I think that's quite the strong position.
I think it was the Sylph. If they hadn't taken the Sylph, I would be like, there's no hope. Because, so Sylph with Metamorphosis engage, it legitimately is a situation to where it's like Illidan goes in, you Wailing Arrow, and it's like everything dies. But now with the deny of that and being able to get the Uther as a response, they have way too much CC for Illidan to thrive.
Do you think there's a chance we'll be seeing Falling Sword?
This is what I was thinking.
It is a double engage opportunity. I don't like it if they did, largely because they need to baby Illidan. So they hyper engage, they get the CC. You need the Blessed Shield as a response. You can't rely on Falling Sword to do that. So I think they need the Blessed Shield as a defense tool for Illidan.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, guys. Well, I believe the game is now loading into game number 3. 1-1 currently here between Panda Global and Naventic. And what a draft we have for Cursed Hollow. We're going to head over to Gilly and Dread for game number 3 to see who moves on to the winners match.
Man, I am so pumped for this game number 3. I hope you guys here in the crowd and at home are too, because these drafts, this is looking pretty exciting.
I agree, actually. It's one of the luckily the first series that it's this convincing. Going into game 3 where I look at the drafts and I go, both of you can win. All it is who can play whose games the best and minimize what their opponents excel at, specifically the Illidan and what he is able to do when he can kind of dance all over the opponent there. But here we are going into game number 3 between Naventic and Panda Global.
Here we go in the blue, Panda Global with Jason playing Sylvanas, Yuge on Uther, Psalm playing Kael'thas, Cladius on Dahaki. You told me he loves that hero, and B-Kid, of course, playing Muradin. And in the red, Team Naventic with McIntyre once again on Tassadar. Big Impact playing Greymane. Fan playing Illidan. Zuna on Johanna, and Kenma, who will be playing Rhaegar.
And right out the gates, teamwork is the name of the game for Panda Global. They have so much that they need to stagger and abuse there, but it does already out the gates, understanding their laning phase advantage, trying to make something happen with Sylvanas, but it gets scouted out. Zuna's going to heads up, and the teams are not going to gain any too major of a lead here. There you go, Fan's going to collapse. They baited it out a little bit there, but she's going to Eon out. Will she survive? Most likely going to be the case, but meanwhile, Kenma getting caught out pretty heavily there, and now it's a 4 vs 4. Kenma trying to get out, but I don't think he's going to be able to.
Oh, just barely escaping Ghost Wolf for the win there. But Zuna won't be so lucky. The first blood for Panda Global. And I have to say, Yuge with the stun on Kenma early on into that fight, realizing that as team comes up, they're going to be able to collapse on them. That was first blood for Panda Global, Dread.
And to give you an example of how much CC sits on the side of Panda Global, they opened on one target, swapped, got them 1 health, barely survived, swapped again, and they still died, even with Iron Skin being an option. So, I mean, dude, I heard you like stuns, so we gave you stuns so you can stun. But it's just like, right now, man, Panda Global already getting a major lead there with those first few skirmishes there. I like that for them, again, because Illidan is such an easy to kind of dance all over. And also, as we touched on before, having the beautiful tri-lane, when you have the Illidan, their laning phase is going to struggle.
They wrecked their warrior. They nearly wrecked their support. So that was free time that they could push on. They've taken 1 tower down, 1 is inches away from dying too. And as long as they can continue this up, look for picks, if not, get that advantage with Sylvanas, this is going to be great for them. If they can get down towers and walls and then get a curse, that's just even more time that they can bring down the sports.
Yeah, so really well done for Panda Global so far coming into this game. See if they opt in to go with the Knight, or Giant Camp, excuse me. Kael'thas is posturing, but he has nobody moving with him. There they go. They will be posturing up for the Giant Camp before this next shrine, which will, or excuse me, tribute, which will spawn anywhere from 215 to 245, I want to say off the top of my head here between these two teams, but pretty close to even. Front wall going to be down. Not going to be the end of the world. Naventic has a lot to prove, I feel like, after already showing how abusive Panda Global can be of their stuns.
Right, and because of the first game, you know, yes, they won last game very convincingly, but it's maybe not something that they were expecting for just Panda Global to walk in here, have to be dealing with a roster change, all sorts of issues, trying to figure out roles, who's playing what for 4 of the members, and then losing that first game right off the back in front of the crowd. But now Fan grabbing the Giants, doing one of the things that Illidan does best in jungling. Meanwhile, the Giants are going to start to push in the top for Panda Global.
But a half-level lead because the front walls that have been taken, the camps are both captured for both sides. We don't know where the tributes going to be spawning quite yet, but it will be posturing. So small advantage on the side of Naventic, but guess what? Dahaka's down there to be able to get that clear, and he has the global. So whether or not, yeah, Illidan will be rotating, so this will be a 5 versus 4 up here until Dahaka makes that rotation, but the Giants pushing in that lane.
Speaking of Dahaka, went for enhanced agility, but the level 4 talent, Hero Stalker, giving him a 150% bonus essence collection off of hero takedowns, and I like that in knowing that if they're going to stun lock someone and take them down, then he instantly can get right back into the fight again because he gets the essence back from that, even if he's been taking some damage.
Illidan has been posturing Fan, yeah, trying to get the flank there. Keep in mind, Iron Skin is actually going down. They do get the combo, but look at Psalm. Fan has something to say about this, instantly flanking and diving the back line. Meanwhile, Kenma goes, boys, I got this. This is going to be our tribute. Dahaka making no rotation. Very great positioning for Naventic there. Fan being heads up, engaging exactly when he needs to. I like that play coming out from him.
Does it feel like Panda Global might have been too far up, considering the fact that Dahaka didn't decide to make the play, or were they banking on him being able to come in if he was needed and Fan just got them too fast?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think both teams kind of played pretty well, really. It's like Naventic intentionally postured to make Dahaka not know when he needs to go in and attack at the perfect time, but at the same time, the one team was planning on trying to abuse the global, right, as best as they possibly can. So I feel like heads up from both, but hat tip to Fan so far. We were talking about playmakers coming out from Naventic. Did we feel Impact has been that quite so far in the series? I feel like Fan, without a doubt. He's Li Ming before, now on his Illidan, and look at the isolation here, trying to make something happen. He's just been very good so far in the series.
Did you say hat tip? A tip of the hat.
A tip of the hat. Yes.
It's like I'm casting with Polaris up here.
I mean, pretty much.
He's giving me the dirtiest of looks right now. More mercenary camps going to be grabbed in line of this next tribute. Now the positioning favors Panda Global slightly. It is in their defended position, and we'll see what Naventic decides to do about that, whether they want to give it up or they want to try to fight into those rocks.
Yeah, it's going to be a situation where they are collapsing, making the hard aggression, and because of the Night Camp pushing on mid, a little bit of clear. Fan trying to get a skirmish and going down again. Keep in mind, watching Fan is so crucial when it comes to these fights. But look at the slow rotation. Naventic taking a very aggressive positioning. Meanwhile, Kenma getting a free channel. Nobody there to delay. Even in a situation where they had all the time and ability to gain an advantage there, Panda Global plays very passive, way too slow of rotations on that part.
You know, looking at what Panda Global have in their arsenal with the heroes, they may struggle with trying to deny that. The Sylvanas use a Haunting Wave, but that is not ideal. Yeah. To use Haunting Wave to stop a tribute channel, that is last chance scenarios where they do have at least flame strikes and things, but if they can't get into position and the zoning is just so good for Naventic, that could really be something that Panda Global struggles with.
I just feel like they had like 15 to 20 seconds before that, understanding the circumstances to make that rotation clearly, and they opted out of that. Again, Dahaka has even made a rotation to a tribute here, and the next tribute will be spawning positionally in favor of Naventic, but Zalm getting got out a little bit here. Fan trying to get the body blocks. He does actually juke the Q as well there, but the drag on Illidan.
Oh, dragging Illidan in, but Fan is fine, and Uther is not. He'll get taken out. Cladius burrowing down to allow his self-healing to come into effect, and the counter kill on Greymane.
One thing to keep in mind, the empowered gravity labs there hitting 3 targets was 100% why they were able to secure a kill there, so really well done on the side of Psalm. The race to 10 is very close. Fans taking the skirmish, but Psalm's life, this is going to give them 10 as well. One more kill is all it's going to take. Jason trying to back out there, get away, but Fans trying to get the body block off. Meanwhile, B-Kid giving the dwarf toss out. Will he be able to get it? He will not secure the kill, but this is going to be a curse and a level 10 small advantage sitting in the side of Naventic.
It was a good thunder burn to try to slow down the attacks of Illidan, allowing B-Kid to get away, and then Cladius was right behind, but still, this is a curse for Naventic. They have heroic abilities slightly ahead of their opponents, and even if they don't get very much from this, it resets the tributes. It's not like they're going to be down on the back foot for tributes against Panda Global because they have yet to pick a single one up.
But look at a feign that really heads up from Zuna, not showing himself, knowing that they were going to defend that, trying to get the flank, the great force wall, the blessed shield. B-Kid, you are going to be going down here, and Naventic furthering their lead in every way, shape, and form here against Panda Global.
McIntyre was so insane, waiting until the dwarf toss came out before force walling so that he had nothing to get over it. It was in the perfect choke point too. I love this. They know that they have taken out one of the 4 frontline heroes, so instead of just going 4 after 4, instead getting a lot more experience by bringing down the keep towers, and because the minions this whole time have been bringing down the fort, you can just turn right around and bring that down too.
And that locks down a 1-level lead here. And as you said before, no tribute disadvantage here, securing 2 forts now. And mid fort's going to be the only one standing. Probably one of the easiest to be taking on the side of Cursed Hollow, largely because it doesn't force you to make a poor rotation. So that will be going down. And again, this is the story of Illidan. The more forts that go down, the harder he gets to deal with, because the distance to safety and retreat for Panda Global is always very, very relevant here. And they actually posture for a boss, even though Naventic is not shown to be going to theirs. They see that now and look like they're going to be a little bit more hesitant about getting it.
The heroic abilities are online for both of the teams. No Divine Storm. It's still Divine Shield for Uther and Isolation for the Dahaka. But I looked too, as Rhaegar has really been specializing heavily into his lightning shield. Probably will have the earth shield.
Yeah.
Maybe even the shield at level 16 to do even more damage on that Illidan.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the route, largely because dealing with Illidan, you just baby him and he will suddenly ascend to be the strongest hero in the game. But they are rounding it to 13 Talontier here. It is one of the, obviously you never want to find a Talontier down, but probably one of the most appealing Talontiers to actually take post 10. So we'll see if Panda Global decides to try and work on that tribute there. I actually really like this from McIntyre. He does end up showing there, but soaking without revealing your positioning to not risk this boss, right? They are aggressive. He shows on bottom. They think that it's going to be doing nothing. Meanwhile, they take boss, and guess what? Now he's scouting. So heads up play coming off of McIntyre.
McIntyre sees this. His team is across the map. Cladius, even Burrows, the minute they see the Tassadar, he brush stalks in because he does not know where the rest of the team is, but they were getting the boss. So trading boss for boss. But remember, Panda Globals just goes to fort. The top, this one, is there a fort left? I don't think so.
No, there is no fort left on top or bottom. So we do see Naventic's boss will be threatening keep front walls, which will be addressed. Meanwhile, the forts and the front walls are up for Naventic, so that boss will gain little to no value. It is very hard to deal with here, and Tassadar even making the situation a little bit harder for Panda Global.
The defense will have to come in, but there is 13, so Panda Global yet again find themselves on the same tier, still behind, but at a place where they can fight versus Naventic. Tassadar has shown that he's bottom defending, but Sylvanas and Sam are trying to make sure they can mitigate the damage that this boss is doing, not losing too much of their towers, giving any experience for free to Naventic.
Yeah, and the boss is beating on the fort there. I don't think he'll be able to get it on his own. Maybe he will, actually, but Tribute's going to be spawning in favor of Naventic here. So it's most likely going to be a clean pickup, excuse me there, for this team here. Keep in mind, watching fan anytime, but no, they actually back out. Panda Global's not even going to take that risk there. So almost kind of even game. Obviously, the structures really hurt on Panda Global, which is huge when you play with the Illidan, but XP-wise, they are holding in rather close here, Gilly.
So at level 13, no Whirling Dervish for Dahaka, not needing that Relentless, since there's really just not much CC crowd control for Naventic. It's all about that Illidan all day. But Ferocious Stalker will give him more mobility along with the enhanced agility. So he can make a lot of plays if he brush stalkers in and then can easily move out of that and find somebody, even if they're trying to run away from him.
Yeah, now Panda Global, man. Trying to get as much soak as they can. This map is so scary because if you get soak a little bit too far out or push a lane a little bit too far, you suddenly lose the ability to soak that lane for a very long time. Meanwhile, with that being known, Dahaka in the upper half, a little bit of aggression here from Naventic, but realistically, again, they need to just be doing the same thing that they do whenever they get in the lead here. Worry about the next 16 tier. Don't risk anything that they don't have to. And I feel like the timing of revealing positioning of Fan, like we saw in the first tribute, is going to be crucial too, as long as they're on the same talent tiers.
So the next tribute may be 16 versus 15. I mean, Panda Global couldn't contest.
I mean, you pretty much give it up, but it's not going to be the case here. So luckily, that will not be the case.
But they have to get this one.
They have to. So it's a position to where they're not going to be able to most likely possibly take the next fight. Depends on the tribute. Again, a little bit of RNG in there, so it's not totally easy to calculate. But watch Fan's positioning. I'd like to see him get a little bit of a flank here. McIntyre will probably get this delay out pretty easily. But he does go kind of straightforward in positioning here.
Yeah, Zuna, it's pretty easy for him with the shield flare to also stall out a tribute pulling in as they're just continuing to fight, but a big condemn from Zuna. They're waiting until the right point to completely engage. And if they can delay this just a bit longer, there is a minion wave that Fan can soak and get his team 16.
Yeah, they're very close here, and you see Zuna with all the shields stacked on top, McIntyre being able to delay, B-Kid actually missing his Stormbolt. That is huge. The aggression is a response to that. Kael'Thas gets the D-Shield, but it's not going to matter. Wailing Arrow misses a lot of people. Gilly, Fan is going to have a heyday.
And there was the Metamorphosis as Fan goes in. Som has now gotten back into position for his team and trying with Gravity Left to go down, and Ancestral Healing keeps Fan in the fight, and now Sylvanas and Kael'Thas drop everybody else from Panda in a lot of trouble. Uther will be lost. B-Kid barely making it out for his self-heal, but Cladius won't get so lucky. Dahaka goes down, a 4-4-0 for Naventic.
And the boss was smashing up top in the upper hand lane a little bit there, getting a little bit more damage, taking out the game for them. Now they have 16 tier advantage. They have 28 seconds, so it will be a 5 vs 5. This is going to be a half a keep. I don't know if they'll be able to secure it completely, especially with B-Kid there to be able to deter a little bit there. But unless he overextends a little bit too much, they're going to be giving up completely, actually going far easier than I thought. I thought he could get a little bit more posture, but he says, no, I'm not going to risk it. We're going to be backing out. So Naventic setting themselves apart here in that last team fight.
I love the patience for it too, waiting until we've got 16, it is here, let's go. Immediately not letting Panda Global have the time to back out from it too. It was just a beautiful time of knowing exactly when they were going to have that to take advantage of it. And now Panda Global will have 16, but long drawn out tribute fights are going to be a problem for them because of that top lane.
Yeah, it is going to be a struggle for them as well. Also with the boss being in the upper lane for Naventic as well. We talked about the win condition when it comes to this map. So opening that up rather early for Naventic here. A level lead, race to 20 going to be on. No surprising talents from both these teams. Power Spike definitely going to be in favor for Kael'Thas. That's where he kind of becomes like, if he wasn't a legend before this, he definitely is ascended to one now. But Wailing Arrow in that last team fight was unimpactful to say the least. On the targets that it was worked, mixed with the splitting and the D-Shield going to be used out there. I would like to see Jason get a little bit more efficiency out of that, but Zuna taking a decent amount of poke here, Gilly.
Not only Sun King's Fury, but Cold Embrace from Sylvanas too. They'll have the vulnerability from that, add the Gravity Crush and the Sun King's Fury too from Kael'Thas, and they have the ability to drop someone from 100 to basically 0 from that. If they can make sure the Gravity Lapse lands, everything has to be right on point, right off of one of those stuns, but they have a lot. They do have the capabilities. And here we come into the fight. Blessed Shield goes out. Again, Som was the problem, the one they were going after, but he was in the back this time. A Wailing Arrow hits 2 members. Zuna and Fan right up in front, and Ancestral Healing keeps Fan in the fight. Divine Shield already used on Som, and Jason is the one in trouble. There's always these 2 different people. Kael'Thas and Sylvanas will drop. Uther the next to fall. B-Kid in trouble too. Dwarf tossing away for now. Dahaka is also even dead. It's only B-Kid remaining here, just trying to delay for as long as he can the inevitable.
That actually was, well, running the opposite direction really heads up there, and then you see Naventic's going to be taking this this boss, then posturing to get the curse as well. I'm going to be interested to see if they decide to go for the upper boss as well. I don't think that would be too healthy because I don't think the win condition is too free, but they will hit the 20 spike. So decision-making from Naventic is going to be crucial here, but largely, one thing I want to touch up on is the minute Sylvanas used E and tried to get out of there, and positioning-wise, Zuna goes, I'm engaging. You have no ability to walk away from Illidan after that point. We're going to hyper-engage. Then Kenma with the God Cleanse. Hitting it right after Drag comes into play. Stormbolt's going to be the follow-up, and you're like, this is it for Illidan. And he goes, no, that's not going to be the case. Cleanse comes out, Metamorphosis, and then it's good night to Panda Global. So really well done. Naventic establishing dominance here. So now the question is, do they think this is their win condition? Illidan's one of the best heroes when going for the core, but I think they're going to have what it takes. It is going to be the safe play to kind of go mid-keep as well, but they do have a lot going for them for Naventic.
So one thing too from these fights as well is the fact that Sylvanas and Kael'Thas, if they maybe won, the other dies.
Yep.
It's been the case the entire time, is they just focus on who are they protecting, which is the one that we're trying to get out. Oh, it's Kael'Thas, then Sylvanas is going to be our target. That's really been great, working out really well for Naventic, and I love that they got the boss, then the tribute, allowed that boss to push along with the curse, grab the top one now. The bottom keep is already halfway down thanks to minions. The top one, we talked about it before, is heading to core.
Yeah, it's going to be moving there, and they're trying to get 20, engaging beforehand. Kael'Thas D-Shield used very early here, Gilly, and fighting away from the core for Panda Global is very risky. Silence coming out, but I don't think it's going to be opting to go with the D-Shield, which, I mean, I've already given my view on that, so I'm not going to go on it a little bit longer, but mainly that they didn't stagger. That is going to most likely be GG here if any more deaths happen for Panda Global.
Yeah, Yuge is gone. B-Kid trying desperately to get back, but on the steps of the Halls of Storm will fall. Cladius hanging out with Kenma, but really the story is the core. With 3 members down, make that 4. Team Naventic take the victory in the series.
Yeah, Yeah, really well done. Naventic establishing dominance on the map there. And Panda Global, they picked a very powerful composition, opting to go with the D-Shield, which, I mean, I've already given my view on that, so I'm not going to go on it a little bit longer, but mainly that they didn't stagger their CCs very efficiently. The only time they did it was cleansed out, which is, I mean, you should expect cleanse being a relevant thing when picking that CC. So Naventic coming out as the favorites and taking out what we consider to be a little bit of dark horse, but I have been impressed by Panda Global.
Yeah, Panda Global has been very impressive, and I'm excited to see how they can do. They're not out of it yet.
Yeah.
The group phase goes that you have 2 lives before you are knocked out, so we'll see how they do in future rounds. But Naventic only 1 match away now from qualifying, or from getting to the semifinals.
Yeah, the group stage is going to be huge for them and helping them get into a situation to actually be able to qualify for this Summer Global Championship. But great game, even like all around. I want to see how Illidan kind of develops in the rest of this tournament, right?
Sure.
I talked a little bit about banning the task and that type of situation. I wonder if that game had been in that order, if it would have been a little bit different. But I feel like the heads-up draft from Panda Global has me more interested in their drafts in the future. Coming into this, researching them, I wasn't too confident, but that showed they know what's up.
Twice we saw, though, a Sylvanas get picked, a Sylvanas that has been so important, so integral in other regions, specifically in China. But it just goes to show that that pick is not everything. It's also the rest of the team, the execution that you can have with her, using her to get more advantage out of things versus just banking on her to be good because she's Sylvanas.
Yeah, well, that is going to be it for game number 3 between Panda Global and Naventic. But let's see what some of our hosts and our other analysts have to say about this game, boys.
It's almost as if you were the host there for a
I
moment. That was
mean-
beautiful. Have you heard it, Dred? What's going on? Are you transitioning? Is that a thing?
I mean, I guess I'm learning how to cast a little bit from time to time. You know,
okay.
like don't call me a pro or anything, but I got my training wheels on. You know.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
even when you were a pro, you weren't really.
I mean,
Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, okay. So, I can't decide whether or not an Naventic have woken up or Panda Global just kind of kicked the bee's nest at this point. That was, in those last 2 games, that was good stuff. Let's focus on that last game, though. I mean, was there ever the follow-ups there to actually shut down the Illidan? Is that
No.
some of the
They were
defining
always very
factors?
split. Specifically, Kael'thas, he would always have to use Gravity Lapse defensively,
Right.
and he needed to use it aggressively to help secure the kill on Illidan, and that was never there.
I actually would have liked to see baiting the Illidan and then using the gravity lap. Like it felt like every time Illidan went in, there were no cooldowns
panic
burnt onto
mode.
him. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was like, what do we
Whereas
do? What do we
rather than
do?
the opposite, you feign the positioning error. Illidan moves in, and all of a sudden, everyone just Illidan dies.
Right.
So it was a little bit questionable there. So.
Well, we can take a short look at one of the recaps here from that game to see if maybe some of the Illidan plays come about in this one, Zoya.
This was actually a very crucial moment that started with a mistake from Naventic. Killing Uther is what turned this into a 1v1. You can see Uther keeping up everyone alive in this fight, and Naventic realized it, and they never killed Uther first for the rest of the game. So it was a very crucial moment where Naventic adjusted their strategy on the fly.
Yeah.
I like that. I like how Uther is more dangerous dead.
Actually, yeah,
Oftentimes.
up until about 16, he is.
Yeah.
He's better
Yes.
dead. It's like sometimes it's like to just kill yourself because you'll gain more
Yes.
value there,
It's
and
not
that was a
very
prime
nice.
example. I mean, if you had a ghost that could heal afterwards, like, I mean, I might want to be a little bit dead too, because, I mean, he actually outputs more healing at certain points late game when he's dead than he does alive. So
That flash shield. That flash
I
shield.
mean, yeah, it's beautiful. It's fun. You just throw up your hands, everybody survives. You know, just.
It's like
Throw
who
your
needs-
hands up in the air sometimes.
I mean, yeah.
Oh no, oh no. All right, let's go on to another short moment here from our game as well. To take a look at what's going on. Zoya, talk us through this.
Again, it's a situation where Gravity Lapse are used instantly at the fight, not on anyone. We see the Metamorphosis come in on the side. I mean, it was just perfect timing on everything on the end of Naventic's end with their aggression, with how they dived in deep. And just really well fight from Naventic. And I love that moment there from Big Impact. He knew the moment to get aggressive.
All right, we do actually have as well, it's going to be Fan here at the desk while we've finished up that replay as well, as it's nice and crowded and packed here. So hello, Fan.
Hey, what's up?
Hold the mic nice and close to your mouth as well.
All right, got it.
Ah, great, that's very nicely done. So congratulations on your first win there.
Yeah, thanks.
Going into that series, obviously Panda Global taking that first map, was that a little bit of a surprise for you going forward? They did play that for pretty well.
Yeah, it was, like, we didn't want to lose any maps here, but basically we figured the first map, we did something really unorthodox with our draft, and it just didn't work out at all. So even after we lost the game 1, we all knew it was basically due to draft, so we weren't going into game 2 nervous or worried or anything.
Okay.
We just knew we needed to draft better.
That's actually something that I did want to ask about, which was the drafting. So the priority for Li Ming on the first maps in particular is something that we've discussed back and forth, and we don't know if it has full value. Can you talk to us about Li Ming's position in the meta right now in terms of draft prioritization?
I think Li Ming is still one of the strongest range carries in the game. Obviously, there's a lot of other strong carries like KT and Illidan right now. And we're comfortable running all of them. It's just that on a lot of maps, Li Ming gains some extra value, and we're really comfortable running both Li Ming and KT.
Okay.
So most teams would rather run KT right now, but we are very experienced with Li Ming as well, so we're comfortable with both.
Okay. Anybody other questions?
Yeah, just to talk about Greymane. We saw it twice in that set. What is your current thought on Greymane in the current meta? He's been nerfed. He's not in the same place he was before.
Yeah, so as far as Greymane goes, he's obviously not as good as he was before because he lost his poke build, but if you look at Korea and China, they're still using Greymane. It's not like he's worthless at all. He still has the same melee damage and all-in potential. You just have to, play him a different way. He does lose poke, which nerfs him a little bit. He's not first pick every single time anymore, but he's still a good hero.
Fan, we saw you playing Illidan in the last game, and that gave me some flashbacks to Heroes of the Dorm 2015. How's the role swaps been going for you guys?
For that game, it was just I play flex anything. Usually I'm on range carry, but for that game in particular, Max just wanted to. Mac was a little worried about playing Illidan into so many stuns, and I've just always been very comfortable on Illidan. So Mac wanted to play Task, so I just flexed for Illidan.
Cool.
All right, and coming up into the tournament as a whole, just as a final question here before we let you go, is there any team that you're particularly worried about going in? Obviously, the American scene is in a bit more flux right now. What are you anticipating?
I don't think we're worried about any team, really. In my personal opinion, the strongest team here, I would still say, would be C9 if they show up on LAN.
Okay.
So that's going to be, probably the hardest game in my opinion. But anyone else, yeah, we're not worried. We're just looking for good games.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Fan, and good luck
Thanks.
for your next games. Of course, we can take a look at the updated groups now as well to show you exactly what has gone down so far since we are across two streams. Cloud9 taking a 2-0 against TNC, which stands for Team Name Change.
Yep.
I love that one. And then, of course, we have Team Naventic taking the 2-1 there over Panda Global. Definitely not over Panda Global. Definitely not over Team Name Change as well here. But Cloud9 and Team Naventic coming out strong already.
Yeah, I mean, we just heard him say his biggest competition, if they show up, is Cloud9. They're going to play their next match very soon.
That would be a great one for sure.
Yeah, Cloud9 versus Team Naventic. I mean, arguably, if these two actually advance forward, it could potentially even be the complete final that we may see, or a lot of people are anticipating, of course. But don't forget, guys, to head over to gear.blizzard.com, as for a limited time, you can get 15% off all of your lovely Heroes of the Storm needs. Got the name right that time. Of course, down below here, we do have a lovely code for you, which I will read out just in case you can't actually get that one. It's HGC 2016 NA1. So enter that for your promotional code, and you'll get 15% off everything. We're going to go to a short break, and when we are back, it will be series number 2 here from the North American Regionals. Don't go anywhere.